Hello and welcome to the Zotero webinar series through the Graduate Writing Center at Teachers College, Columbia University. My name is Catherine Cheng-Stahl, and I'll be facilitating this particular webinar, which is focused on generating reference lists. So specifically, I will be sharing with you different ways of generating personalized reference lists for different projects and various purposes. In order for this to be most useful for you, I will have assumed that you have already watched the webinar on using Zotero to write and cite. So if you haven't watched that webinar, I would encourage you to pause this one and return after you view that particular webinar. So if you're here, that means you've already used Zotero with either Microsoft Word or Google Docs. You have generated a couple of in-text citations, whether they are narrative or parenthetical ones. And so for this particular webinar, I'm going to show you two ways to create selective reference lists for particular purposes. So option number one is to create your reference list directly within Google Docs or Microsoft Word as part of your process of writing or citing as you write. The second option, though, is within Zotero from one of your library collections or sub-collections. Option number two allows you to further personalize the style that you're interested in, the particular output mode, as well as the output method. So for this webinar, I will be just kind of going over these two options, and then I will perform a live demo at the end. So option number one is to use the add edit bibliography function that you will see built in to Microsoft Word as well as Google Docs. So in a previous webinar, especially the one where you learn how to cite as you write, we were mostly using the first icon, which is the add edit citation one. But for generating reference lists, once you have all your citational sources built into the text itself, with the click of a button, this one right here, Zotero will create your reference list formatted per the style you have indicated in your preference menu. So if you have not set up your preferences, no worries. There is this particular option right here that you can click on, which will take you to Zotero, in which case you can then specify the citational style you're working with. So the beautiful thing about Zotero is as long as you have your library populated with your sources, with a click of a button, this one right here, it will populate your entire reference list, put it in alphabetical order, create the appropriate indentations, have particular things be italicized, using the en dash for page numbers, etc. So all the rules that you would otherwise have to memorize, Zotero will take care of. Option number two is to create your reference list within Zotero itself. This option is great if you are, for example, creating a curated list of references for a course syllabus, or you are sharing resources with a colleague or a professor, and you happen to have your sources organized into various collections and sub-collections within your Zotero library. So for example, here, let's say I was writing a literature review for a particular course, and within that course, I have these sub-collections containing particular sources. So I can create a reference list for each of these smaller sub-collections, or I can create a reference list from the larger collection. And the way to do so is to simply click on the collection where I want the sources to come from, and there is the option to create bibliography from the collection itself. So again, this is option number two, which I find to be also very useful for particular projects. So earlier I shared how with option two, there's further personalization possible. So not only can you modify the citational style, You can also indicate the output mode. So output mode is basically, what do you want the reference material to be formatted as? Do you want them to be in-text citations, in which case you would click on this dial? Or do you want a standard reference list, in which case you would activate this particular button? In most cases, you would want the traditional reference list, so that's the bibliography option. Oh, and then the second option is output method. So most commonly, you will probably want your reference list to be a full list that you can then paste into a Word document, paste into Google Docs, paste into an email. So in that case, you would select this button right there. But if there's any other output modes that you're interested in, you can select the appropriate one here. So at this point, I'm going to demo for you how to actually generate your list. So why don't we start with Google Docs? So here in a previous webinar, I already modeled some of the in-text citations. So here I have a parenthetical one, another parenthetical one with a page number. I have one with multiple authors. Let's say that I'm just going to add a couple of more. So I'm going to do Zotero, add edit citation. The red bar shows up. Let's say that here I'm going to add a couple of more sources. Let's say this one. I'm just going to cite a couple, one from Professor Ioana Literat. Okay, so it doesn't matter, I don't have to worry about the order because Zotero will take care of that. I hit enter, wait a few moments, and there you go. So let's say that at this point, I am ready to create my reference list. So I'm going to enter a few times and start on a new page. I will type in references. I'll bold it, put it in the middle of the page, click enter. And at this point, I'm ready to insert my bibliography. So I click on Zotero, add edit bibliography, which is that second option. I'll wait a moment. And depending on how long your list is, you might wait a few seconds, but that was fairly quick. So see here, the entire reference list is now ready. It is properly formatted in alphabetical order. You see the indentations, you see the italics, all the information is there. One thing that you might want to pay attention to is whether you need to make some edits. So for example, this particular book here, I noticed that the title is in title case instead of sentence case. So what that means is within my Zotero library, I kept things in title case. So I would need to manually go into Zotero, make that correction, and then go back to Zotero and refresh, and it will update. So again, depending on how you populate your library, your reference information will show up in a way that mirrors what you have in your library. So that was an example of creating the reference list within Google Docs. So here I have Microsoft Word. So again, I have a couple of sources within the text itself. And at this point, I am ready to create my reference list on a separate page. So here we go. References. I'm going to put this in the middle of the page. Enter. Activate Zotero tab. Click on Add Edit Bibliography. I'll give it a moment, and here you go. Right. So that took a very short time because I only had 4 sources. You'll notice the DOI is there and all the information that I need is there as well. All right, so that was a demo of option 1 for generating your references within the Microsoft Word app or within Google Docs. So what if you were interested in generating reference lists through Zotero itself? So then I will open Zotero and take a look at my library. So let's say that I am interested in generating a reference list from a manuscript that I was working on. So you'll notice here that I have all of my sources for that particular manuscript in this sub collection. So to create a reference list, I would simply click on that collection, and there is the option to create bibliography from collection. I click on that. This menu pops up asking me for my citational style. I am using APA 7th edition. I want a reference list, and I'm going to copy this to my clipboard. I click enter, or rather OK. Now it's being saved. It might take a few moments because here again, the reference list is rather extensive. Let's say now I want to share this through Google Docs. So let's say that this is my reference list for journal article manuscript to share with publisher, for example. And then I just simply paste, give it a few moments, and here you go. Right, so that is now properly formatted in APA style, and you can see how long this list is. So again, this function is great if you would like to create personalized lists for various purposes, whether it's for a journal, whether it's for a project, a course, etc. Okay. So I have now already shared with you the two options for generating reference lists, and I have demoed for you how to do this live. I hope that this has been helpful for you. If there are further questions, please feel free to reach out, whether through an individual consultation or by attending a workshop. If you have recommendations for additional webinar series or webinar videos pertaining to citational management software, drop us a line and we'll do our best to incorporate. All right, thank you very much.